Maya Rupert is back with us. Also with me, MS Now's Maya Eglin. She's sitting with me. And Lindsay Owens, Executive Director at Groundwork Collaborative and the author of a new book coming out in September, Gouge, The End of a Fair Price and What That Means for Your Wallet. So Maya Eglin, first to you. You spoke with young people in Georgia. What are they saying?
So everyone on the panel had either their own business or a side hustle to help with their expenses. And it's really hard not to compare the realities of today with what we saw our parents, our grandparents kind of live through. So there's some disappointment there, but there is that grit and determination to try and determine, what it's going to take to make ends meet. I want to play a little bit more of our conversation. Of course, cost of living was the #1 issue for these folks. Take a listen.
I feel like everything with tariffs is just hurting my personal business.
We went to college off of the golden ticket dream. You get a college degree and now you have a golden ticket to a job and a career. And that's just not true anymore.
There's also this fear of opportunities kind of being swallowed up by AI. If folks want to view the full conversation, it's up on YouTube.
And we will. That's a great teaser. Lindsay, walk us through some of the challenges that young people are facing when it comes to the economy and the job market. What's going on?
Yeah, look, this was a great snapshot. There are 2 labor markets in this country right now. There is one labor market for American workers 28 and over. That labor market isn't great, but it's sort of chugging along. Then there's a second labor market for those under 28. And that labor market is frightening. That's a great word for it. It's starting to look a little bit recessionary almost. The economic uncertainty that we're seeing in the labor market from the tariffs, from the war in Iran, from the rise of new technologies like AI, that's hitting the entry-level workers hardest because employers are holding off. They're not making big hiring decisions right now, and that's hurting folks who are coming out of college. The other thing I'll say is it's obviously very painful for young people in the short term, but what I'm most worried about is the medium and long term, because we know that young people who graduate during economic downturns, during periods of economic uncertainty, they often have a hard time catching up to their peers who graduate a little earlier or a little later, even across their entire careers. Slower lifetime earnings, slower advancement.
And we are hearing from young people who say that they can't even catch their breath or pay for their bills now, so they're not putting any money aside, they're not saving. What's the long-term impact of something like that?
Yeah, look, the cost of living crisis is hitting Americans of all stripes. Gas prices are up $1.50 since the war in Iran started. Housing costs are high, healthcare costs are high, and of course those energy price shocks trickling into groceries, too. Memorial Day barbecues were up 13% this year compared to last year. The only thing that makes that worse is if you're struggling on the income front. You don't have a lot of money coming in every month. And so, of course, young people getting very hard hit here with the combination of rising prices and low incomes.
So Maya Rupert, something from Maya Eglin's conversation that I want to get your take on is who exactly these young people believe is to blame for the economic situation that we find ourselves in. Let's listen to what they said.
Fingers are being pointed at the government and the administration because people are expecting relief.
I would say I lean more Democratic. I don't think we're they're really helping us as small business owners with what they're doing currently.
I've always leaned more conservative, but agreeing with what she was saying, I don't agree with what's going on right now, but I didn't agree with what was going on with the previous political party as well. So I felt like we were kind of choosing between 2 bad choices.
A lot of people feel that way, kind of caught at a crossroads here politically. You've worked on campaigns, Maya. How should both parties at this point be messaging to this clearly frustrated but very vital demographic?
Right. I think, I think based on what those young people were saying, and I think what we're seeing across the country, there's a real opportunity here for a party that wants to come out and be the party to talk about cost of living. But in order to do that, and I think the Democrats you're seeing, people are talking so much about affordability, it's becoming a buzzword. And I would caution very strongly against that happening. Because the last thing we need is everyone saying the words affordability, but really then talking about a return to a status quo that was very clearly not working for a lot of people. it can't be a buzzword. There needs to be a genuine reckoning and reorientation of our politics that will allow our economy to take seriously what people are saying. We have to get costs down. We need to get wages up. And no one should be running for office if they don't have a plan to do that, if they don't have a serious plan to deal with AI and the potential to decimate the entry-level job market, and how we are going to actually incentivize human labor in the face of generative AI. That's what candidates need to be talking about. Simply saying the words affordability, but then sort of waving to a set of policies that got us here is not going to work. And so I really think that what the candidates that are running in 26, thinking about 28, have got to be focused on are real ideas that actually can shift things. The young people who are responding to this moment, they have the benefit of actually saying, look, we're not prepared to just say, this is the reality of the economy. Sometimes people just cannot afford to live a good life. That is what we're hearing. And I think that candidates actually have a real moment. There's political imagination that hasn't existed before, but we have to take advantage of it. It can't just turn back into affordability is the new thing that everyone says, but there are no new ideas to get us there.
So Maya, I'm curious. Are these young people telling you they still believe in the American dream?
You know, they do, but I think it's changing, right? One of the panelists, his name was Martel, he said that it's now the decision of choice, the dream of choice, not necessarily, yes, white picket house, cars and kids, but having the opportunity to really choose where your future goes, and the desire to just do that and afford your life, have some free time, enjoy your life too, I think is really what the dream seems to be shifting into.
Lindsay, final word. What is your message to young people out there who feel gouged to the point of your book? They feel like they're struggling. They want to believe in the American dream, but they feel this crushing weight of the economic circumstance.
I think the first thing that we should say to young people is it's not your fault. The narrative that you're lazy or you're not working hard, that's really baloney. This is structural. This is an economy that is stacked against you. You're working hard, be flexible, see what kind of work is out there, and hopefully come November, head to the ballot box and vote for change.
All right, Maya Rupert, Lindsay Owens, and Maya Egelin, thank you so much. Maya, thanks for getting out there and talking to those young people. Appreciate it.